Hot breath. So if you could please just say your full name into the microphone.
My name is Bob Sumner. That's my full name.
Bob Sumner, welcome to Hot Breath.
It's nice to be here. Hot breath and all.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Seriously, I know how valuable your time is. And I was so happy to not only be able to perform on your show, but then you'd be willing to actually sit down with me. So that's
what it's all about, man. It's
Yeah.
all about us coming together and make shit work.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, you know how to do that. You got a little bit of a track record.
A little bit.
So what is this show we're shooting right now for Laugh Mob? What is this? Give people...
This is a new creation that we've come up with. A couple guys in my office who's been working with me for a number of years. Jamal Daydu, who's actually the director, along with Rebecca Hayes and the producer Carlos Custis. We had some audio. We had some material that was just on the shelf. These guys decide that they're gonna try something, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna take this audio and take some of the stand-up comedy that you can actually visualize and pretty much give you a comedy video. So they tried it out, sent it over to me, and when I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And we dropped this video on YouTube with a comedian by the name of Red Grant. He does this bit called Fruit Loops, about kids not being able to, eat Fruit Loops in the house, father wasn't with it, or whatever. And I mean, this thing, we received over 50 million views. I think it's probably closer to, with shares and stuff, maybe 100. But then we came up with more and more of these guys, just started putting it all together. Next thing you know, the networks come calling, and True TV, they won out, and this is getting ready to be it's going to be sick. It's going to be bigger than my previous hit.
Oh yeah, Def Jam. But what makes you think this is gonna be such a hit? What about it?
Because it hasn't been done. For one, I mean, it really hasn't been done. I mean, people talk about Drunk History and things like that. There's a little similarity to it, but not really. Even I would say, when I say hasn't been done, it kind of have been done early. Charlie Chaplin kind of did it.
Wow.
Seriously, I mean, when you think about silent movie, you took a silent movie and then you had the the words on the screen, and then you had the Chaplin or whoever, playing everything out. What's his name? Arbuckle. He was even not Fatty Arbuckle. He was another silent movie star. Little history there, but what they would do is act out scenes, and then you would see the words, right? With this, the comedians are actually giving you their stand-up stories, beginning, middles, and ends. All right, and there are a lot of comedians who, when they tell a story, you can actually visualize it, but you just see them on stage. You don't really see it. With this show, you will see the actual joke come to life. It's like if you take a song, and you turn it into a music video. We've taken a joke and have turned it into a comedy video. It's as simple as that, man. And when I say that Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks, hosted by Cypher Sounds, is the next big thing, it's the next big thing.
Well, you've done radio, you've done TV. What do you think is the next wave? Do you think TV is still the it, or is the internet is kind of where it's evolving?
The internet seems to be the way to go. At least a lot of stand-up comedians, or I shouldn't even call them stand-ups, a lot of YouTube comedians are winning right now because of the internet. You know, I mean, I am not a big fan of, you know, watching videos on, you know, comedians on videos. I like to see the live shows. You know what I mean? But it's working for them because it seems to me that a lot of people are looking for how many viewers do you have. And I mean, and even one for us with this TV show. So, you know, I'm like, well, okay, it's oxymoron, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you think is, I mean, just thinking in terms of technology and how it is affecting comedy, and you did Def Jam. I guess you said your first project, that your first success, Def Jam.
Well, yeah, and that was before social media, big time before social media.
So I've heard you reference that there's like a formula to like a great show. What are some of the recipes there?
Well, I don't. I mean, my formula is my formula, so I really don't. You know, I don't really give away my formula. I mean, my grandmother made these rolls in gingerbread. Only a couple of us have that formula. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, there is a formula, but it's yours.
Right.
Everybody has their own. Like, my eye is my eye. You know, I see people get on who I pass on. Then I see, you know, people who I put on that other people wasn't checking until I started checking for, you know, and they win most of the time. So, you know, it's really like a it factor. These 2 nights that I've been down here in Atlanta looking at talent, some people have been okay. Some people have been great. Some people, you know what I mean? But at the same time,
averages, right?
but at the same time, speaking of law of averages, for me, if I see 1 or 2 out of 10, that's great, because at the end of the day, I'm looking for maybe 84 jokes. So if I'm gonna go to 20 cities and I see, you know, 3 or 4 people that I liked, and all of them have, you know, a joke or 2 or 3, I'm doing well. You know, I'm doing well. So
what are you looking for? Not even just like joke wise, but in a comedian, what do you look for of like a comedian? Okay, that comedian has it.
I don't know. That's the crazy part about how I flow. I don't know what I'm looking for until I see them. And they could even be rough around the edges at times. But it's just something about them and their skill set. You know, one thing that's very important for me is confidence. You know, the commitment to the microphone. You could just see it in a person. You know, and even like their cadence and everything, how they're moving on stage. You know, they're not playing one side of the room to the other. You know, just their mannerisms, the way they take the mic out of the stand and move the stand, because there's not, unless you're using the microphone as a prop, or I should say, not the microphone, but the mic stand. If you're using that as a prop, that's one thing. But other than that, move that joker out of the way. It looks like you know, you're doing time up there with a bar in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just watch for things like that. And of course, originality. I mean, understood that there's topics. That, you know, everybody, you know, talk about similar topics. But who does it better? You know what I mean? Who can do it? Who can really make it happen better? Who can do it better? You know?
I met Barry Katz up in Montreal a couple years ago.
Barry. I'm gonna have some of this hot breath.
Yeah, drink it up.
You met Barry,
and he. Yeah, if you know him, that's definitely his voice.
I did a podcast with Barry, and it was a lot of fun. Hey, Barry.
You guys probably have a lot of history.
Breath, huh?
Yeah, you guys probably have a lot of just crossing paths along the way.
A lot of history. I mean, you're talking about crossing paths. My office was around the corner from his comedy club in Greenwich Village. So I used to cross paths all the time on my way to the PATH train.
The PATH train?
Yeah, the PATH train. There's a PATH train that runs between New York and New Jersey.
Okay.
It's like the cheaper way, as opposed to the New Jersey Transit train.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, it's
okay.
like 2 different ways, but one has like 50 stops and the other one has like 5 stops.
Right, yeah.
One of them type things. It's crazy.
Well, Barry said that he's been able to like shake someone's hand and just tell, okay, this is the person. He said that was him for Chappelle. Like when he met Chappelle and shook his hand, he could just see like the universe in his eye. Have you ever had a similar experience?
Only Barry would say some shit like that. Have I ever had a similar experience?
Like you just instantly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even with David, Barry was working with David. And back when we put Dave on Def Comedy Jam, I guess he was probably 18 years old. And you could see it then, and even like with today's, the sensational Tiffany Haddish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I put Tiffany on Def Comedy Jam in 2007. That's 10 years ago. You can see it. Same Tiffany today, really. It's just, refined. But more than anything, Bernie Mac.
Woo.
Bernie, when I first saw Bernie, I actually saw him here in Atlanta. Bernie's from Chicago, but when I first saw him, he just had it. You just knew it. And Bill Bellamy, he's another one who I basically took Bill from, the beginning, but we treated him like he was a star before he became a star because you could see that he had what it took to make it. So, yeah. And then there's others that you think may have it on the talent side, but their character is ridiculous. You don't want to mess with them because, they're giving craft services problems. They're giving wardrobe problems. Who wants to be around, an elephant in the room?
The ego.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So, you have that other side to it. And I pretty much move on from those type of characters.
You got to keep the common touch.
I always say, that's one of the things, I don't know if you read any of my bios or something, but common touch is one of the things.
I read a few things.
Well, that's one of the things that do work with me. When I was like 11 years old, my godfather said to me, whatever you do in life, you could walk with kings and queens, but don't you ever lose the common touch. Did I know I was going to have the kings of comedy and the queens of comedy before they became kings and queens? Def Comedy Jam built that, and I'm proud to say that I'm here right now talking to you, man, and on Hot Breath.
Yeah.
Hot Breath.
That's how I say it, actually, in the intros.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. See?
Oh,
I've done radio before.
You know, too. Yeah, at Seton Hall.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah. Back in the Dizzy.
Yeah, man, we had wax. Actually, yeah, we used to play wax LPs.
Wow.
LPs and 45.
Yeah, you've always been around creativity and whether it's music, you're watching.
All my life.
Yeah.
All my life. My uncle is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There was a singing group in the 50s called the Platters. And Tony Williams, he was the lead singer. And that's how it really kind of started with everybody in my family. My dad, he was managing groups, and my mom was working at a record company. My brothers had a band, and here I was, this little kid that was just being, dragged around to places like the world famous Apollo Theater. And my parents just, every Wednesday, every Sunday, they were at the Apollo. Then we would go up to my aunts and uncle's house up in Harlem, and it's crazy because now I'm back at the Apollo as curator of comedy, man. Years later, it's like, who knew? And when I tell you that I saw Jackie Moms Mabley perform, and then I end up presenting her into the Apollo Walk of Fame as one of the first non-musical performers, along with Richard Pryor and Red Fox. So it's this journey that I've been on, it's crazy, but Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks, we premiere on January 3rd on True TV at 11 o'clock. This is just like the Bob Sumner journey continues, man.
It's incredible.
We got a little documentary coming up in 2018 based on who is Bob Sumner.
Really?
Yeah, the birth of Def, DEF. How all of this stuff happened prior to that big show.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, it's a good time right now.
Yeah, and even Mob and Laugh Mob is like more of Bob's best.
That's what they say, man.
For,
I mean, and basically that came as I always sleep with a modern technology is what it is. But if you watch my show, Laugh Mob's We Got Next on the Inspire Network, you know, they would always clown me because I keep a pad with me.
I do too,
And I keep, you know, I had a pad next to my bed. One night, something just hit me where I felt like I needed to create the next thing for the next generation. And I had already, you know, did everything I could do with Def Jam, and now everybody's trying to figure it out. Where again, the formula that I do have it figured out. But how do I present more of Bob's best? Let me create this little, like, Cube had the lynch mob and this, that, and the other. Let me just create some real cool shit and call it the Laugh Mob. Laughing, mobbing is like a family. More of Bob's best is the acronym. It's all good.
Yeah.
So it's been a work in progress. I partnered with Paul Rise's old manager, Arthur Spivak, who made some moves out in Los Angeles, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he wanted to get back into the business. He had kind of like retired from the business, and he was big in the music industry as well. So, you know, we have had this thing, and it's been a road. It's been rocky at times. You know, a lot of people have given up on us, but again, I've built too many careers to say I'm no longer in this business and no longer being a major player in the business. That's not happening. And when people saw Def Comedy Jam 25, it was pretty much written right there, bro.
Yeah.
Hey man, I could show you better than I could tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were people starting to say that you were like just kind of like a one-trick pony and like you were kind of out of the game?
No, not necessarily.
Oh,
but the thing is, I'm in the lab. When you don't see me, like I only deal with quality things. That's why I do the Apollo Comedy Club. You know,
Right.
the Apollo. I do the American Black Film Festival Comedy Wings competition. I do Alonzo Morning's events for his foundation. You know, it's all hot stuff. I just finished doing the Soul Train music cruise, you know, going to Cozumel and all that stuff. I'm into just hot stuff. I'm getting ready to partner with Tito's Handmade Vodka, and we're bringing something back to Newark, New Jersey, called Jazz and Jokes, which is going to be really cool. For a number of years, I did a thing called Laugh Mob on Sunset at the world famous Comedy Store, and then I was down on National Harbor in DC before it became what it is now. We did something down there that was really, really hot. I just like to dibble and dab in stuff that has flavor, like Laugh Mob's laugh tracks. That's be my thing, you know.
And what a common thread is you always root for the underdog. It was all about showcasing that untapped talent.
Listen, you have to start somewhere. And I mean, when I look at Craig Robinson, Dion Cole, Mike Epps, J.B. Smoove, Tracy Morgan, Cheryl Underwood. I mean, I remember Cheryl drove from California to Orange, New Jersey. You know, it was on Unsung. She actually had somebody like drive with her to perform for me. You know, and the rest was history. So, yeah, it's all about the underdog. It's all about the underdog, and it's also about not forgetting, like Avion Crockett and D.L. Hughley, two guys who I'm very proud of. In particular, these guys always, when they see me, they say this thing that I said to them years ago, and that's, don't ever let me see you eat pizza with a fork. I mean, it's one thing if you have the pan pizza, that hard pizza that you got up, but I'm talking about that fourth, you know, that McDougal and third on the corner in the Village, you know, that greasy, fold it up and eat it, man. You know, you have these guys now, they make it in Hollywood, and now they need a little bib and a knife and a fork, and they sitting over in the corner eating the pizza like a straight up chump. You know what I mean? That's not what it's all about. It's about not forgetting where you come from.
Oh, you love that work and that
hey, man,
just grind.
That's how you appreciate. You appreciate it you appreciate it when you put it in, man. When you put the time in, and even like, you never know when I'm gonna pop into a comedy room, and you have to treat a room, whether it's 10 people in the room, or 100 people in the room, or 1,000 people in the room. Every show is like, you never know who's there. I mean, I've been in rooms in LA where it was like all of the hot casting agents and everybody in this room, but it ain't but like 15 of us in the room. But don't be talking about security did a great job keeping people out of here. You know, nobody want to hear those type of jokes when we're here really to see you do something.
Yeah. And with how comedy and how the world is more interconnected now, is it necessary, do you think, in your opinion, to move to like an LA or New York to kind of get that exposure? Because I'm in the delusion I can just stay here in Atlanta and then it'll gravitate.
Well, I believe that you can stay within your comfort zone, but get out of it sometimes. You know what I mean? Have a plan. And, you know, when people take vacations and stuff, if you really trying to win in this game, make your vacation a trip to New York, have some contacts that you develop here, up there. And it's not always about the money, neither. It's about getting those chops, you know. And LA is LA, New York is New York. I mean, not sounding biased, but I do know that New York is like, you could really grind it out there and make probably a couple more dollars, even though it's not really about the money. It does help to make a couple dollars. If you have 15 minutes, you could do 3 sets a night somewhere and get $200. You know, you do that 3-4 times a week, making $800. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it fluctuates, but you could do that. LA is a different story. But at the same time, it's about that grind. And it's about even here creating a room that you could work out, or you and a group of people, because there's nothing like stage time. That's how you get better.
Boom. And you mentioned you ran across Bernie Mac the first time here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I guess back when all this was happening and we're starting this Def Jam, what was kind of the comedy scene like back then?
There wasn't really a big comedy scene. It was like really underground. I mean, you had the mainstream clubs, and you had some African American comedians in those clubs like Jimmy J.J. Walker, Mario Joyner, Michael Winslow, you know, these type of guys. But it wasn't really no Bernie Macs and no Steve Harveys. That wasn't really happening. So we were able to change the game, like Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks that's coming to
is that on True TV?
True TV.
No way.
Yeah, it's going to be True TV on January 3rd at 11 p.m. Directly after Impractical Jokers, I believe. So that's a nice lead in.
Whoa, that is a nice lead in.
Yeah.
What is Atlanta's kind of place in comedy history?
Atlanta has always been very special to me, as have Chicago and DC. You know, I can actually say those cities have been very, very integral to what I've been doing. And like Atlanta, on the Def Jam 25th, Cheryl Underwood made mention of the Peppermint. That was a spot that I had up in New York, Jersey, actually, where Bill Bellamy was my host and Mike Epps. They were my main hosts, but anybody might host. Tracy might host. Chappelle might host. The late Monteria Ivy, who was a great friend of mine and a great MC, he would host so many people. And the show was like so hot that I brought the show to Atlanta. Okay, the same show, the same time, 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, I had them running simultaneously. I would come down to Atlanta one week, then I would be up in Jersey the next week. It was so cool. And the reason I did it here is because it was so many doggone comedians. This was a weekly show. So I would have a host and 3 comedians on every Thursday in Jersey and in Atlanta. So Atlanta means a whole lot to me. And I mean, I'm talking about the Earthquakes and the Bruce Bruces and the Doo-Doo Browns and the Chris Tuckers. These guys were, they were here. Don D.C. Carey, a lot of love. Some more. Monique was here at the time. Yeah. So, Atlanta.
Where was that show at?
It used to be at the Underground. Right at the Underground. The place was called Teddy's Live.
Oh.
And it was all that. At the Atlanta Underground. Every Thursday night.
Yeah, Peppermint is legendary.
Chris Charles was the host. Yeah, the Peppermint is legendary.
I've heard.
Legendary for its oxtails, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, oxtails and peach cobbler.
Yeah.
I didn't really mess with the chitlins too much.
But and the celebrities and the party, like 500 people, and you're turning people away.
A lot of celebrities, a lot of celebrities used to just pop in there. I mean, the Knicks, the Nets, at the time, the Knicks and the Nets were like popping. They had great teams, as were the Giants. And they would always come in and just hang out. Any given, you might see Charles Oakley over there, you see Lawrence Taylor over there, you see Derek Coleman and Kenny Anderson, and here comes Naughty by Nature and Queen Latifah and Wendy Williams and Shaquille O'Neal. That was the Peppermint, bruh. It was crazy, you hear me? A lot of people, Jaheim might be on stage singing, and Joe, the artist Joe, and just good times. And this was before the comedy show with Bill Bellamy or Mike Epps, and then the Wayans brothers might be sitting in the audience, or Chris Rock might do a couple minutes at the place. It was like really wow. It was a wow moment every Thursday night.
And you've been doing shows before, even like Peppermint, and putting shows together.
Yeah, there was a little spot in North called Terminal D. That's where it really kicked off for me at. It was interesting because I actually didn't even have a radio in my car because it didn't make sense to have one because after the third time it was gone.
It was just stolen?
It was like I was really grinding it out, trying to make it happen. And I risked, we used to have equalizers in your cars and stuff. I risked all that for comedy, for my love for comedy. So I didn't have a radio in my Granada.
Oh, you mean you sold it? You sold it, or you mean you risked it?
I risked having. I just.
Oh, you just went without.
I went without because I was gonna have to go without every Tuesday because they was like squatting on me, and I didn't really have an alarm or anything.
Oh man.
It was just. Yeah. I just went on a tangent. That was a moment in time. I just had a flashback on.
He's gotta look at the water. Yeah. Yeah, but those are the moments we're looking for, though.
Yeah. Nah, good times though, but we started like doing comedy. This guy, Antoine Mathis, who I grew up with, he was doing stand-up comedy, and that's what gave me the bug to like create these rooms and stuff. And then a lot of the more, urban style comics, they really didn't get an opportunity to get into those main rooms because they couldn't get on the early shows, so they would stand in line and get these numbers, and about time they got on stage, it was like 2 a.m. So I wanted to develop a place. So that was Terminal D. It was really cool. And then I went to another place called Club 88, stayed there for a minute, and then it was the birth of the Peppermint.
What are some of the big mistakes you're saying? Because I produce a weekly show here in Atlanta as well, and you've been able to create such successful shows. What are some maybe tips you have for show producers to help elevate the show?
For one, trying to keep up with the quality with a weekly show is hard.
Yeah.
You almost want to have a hot-ass monthly show that people really look forward to, and you could really stack the lineup the right way. Because, other than that, you basically just have an open mic. You know what I mean? And those are, open mics are very, very cool, but, you do want to be able to have a show where you can one day take it from a little, club lounge into a theater, whether it's a 500-seater or a 1,500-seater. So, and then it's about giving opportunity to the comedians who are really putting in the work, and not just guys that's coming through there just so they could try to sell their DVDs and stuff. You know, that's kind of corny. You know, and you have to really utilize that space to build your craft if you are the stand-up. You know what I mean? Videotape and audio tape your sessions, and just get out there, and also develop your point of view. If you're thinking about getting into sketch, create some original characters as well as some impressions of others. Just try to separate yourself from the rest, and don't be too cliquish. I mean, it's cool to have your little squad, but don't kind of be your own person so you don't develop a style of someone else's.
Yeah. A line you said last night at the show, you made the line, "The science of the stage." You said, I don't know if you remember even saying it, but you just said the science of the stage, and that just resonated with me.
Yeah.
And just it's
the science of the stage. Know why you're there, and everybody's there for different reasons, but know why you're there. Don't waste the audience time. Don't waste your time. Know why you're there and commit to the science of the stage. It's when you get up on that joint, it's all mental. It's all mental for 8 minutes or more. 8 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, you can bomb for 8 minutes.
You can bomb for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Really, a minute in,
yes,
you can go ahead.
I could really feel where somebody's going really early in the game. Early in the game. But again, that's why I really don't like to look at a footage. I really like to be right there, because I like to be like I'm that big light. I'm that shining light.
Yeah.
And I mean, we watched the other day somebody who's a vet fumbled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then came back the next night and rocked because they knew they can. But it's all about preparation. And if I'm in your building, it's serious. And that's what I was saying. Don't ever underestimate who's in that club on any given night.
That's why I've been in the club the past 2 nights. I wasn't even worried about like a taping. I was like, oh, Bob Sumner's in Atlanta? I was like, where's he going to be? Okay, well, that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know all of how that even happens. But I think, like you said before, I'm all about the underdog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to see people win. Nothing makes me feel better than to see a comedian go from the outhouse to the penthouse. I'm serious. And when I say comedian, I take that serious. There's a lot of comics out here. There's very few comedians, and there is a difference. There's a difference. A comic works within a box. A comedian can look at the room and know exactly what to say and don't have to change their set. Just know the cadence, know how to pick the room. A comic can choke, straight up choke. It's a lot of comics. I've seen them.
From you watching legitimately the greats in comedy, is there like a common thread between all of them that makes them so effective, or?
Well, it's according to what you would say are the greats, because it's some people that think they're the greats and they're not really the greats.
Oh, I mean like a Bernie Mac, Dave Chappelle, Chris
the greats.
Rock.
Yeah, those are the greats.
Yes.
There's a
Joel Byars.
The common thread amongst all you guys. I never forget when you and Carlin was playing that room that night. Gary Carlin, Gary Carlin.
That was my puppet. I was doing a stage act.
I mean, point blank, these guys have a confidence level that goes with their experience on the stage, and all of those guys aren't guys that did comedy for a couple months, then stopped. These guys was in the clubs every night. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the common thread. They work for what they're getting right now. Point blank. This is facts. You know?
And watching them work the stage, do you find those kind of comedians are more improvisational on stage, or is it more scripted?
It's more knowledgeable. Knowledgeable. What do I mean by that?
Right.
These guys keep up with current events. All those guys that we just talked about, they're smart as hell. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. They keep up with what's happening now. And they flip it. They flip everything. You know, they don't always have to just do jokes about the guy that's in the Oval Office right now. You know, they talk about a whole lot of other things. And that's the beauty of all of them. You know, more than anything else, they just don't. If they know that they have a tour coming, they go to the hole in the wall clubs and they work their stuff out. Some guys just same script. These guys don't have the same script. I mean, David just did 3 Netflix specials with all different material for 90 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
It's unbelievable.
He'll go into a room and actually do 3 hours of just improvisational stuff, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Everybody has different skill sets. Because I have heard Chris Rock is more like by the book. Like every line, he is pretty much like rehearsed and like has it written out almost like a book.
And it's be tight.
Oh yeah.
About time he take it out there onto that big stage.
Yeah.
It's tight. You know? Then there's, Kev goes about it his way. You know what I mean? He comes from a different school. But he's tight.
What is that school he comes from?
His preparation is more with a collective group. You know what I mean? From what I see, he handles his stand-up just like it's a sitcom or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They all come together and they're out in the clubs too, picking up on things and seeing what's going on. I mean, he's perfected his lane.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him. Proud of him.
Does that make you feel a different way about somebody's material if somebody else is writing it?
No.
No.
Same thing with hip hop music. Every rapper ain't write his lines or her lines. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Somebody else got to get a check. That's why they have publishers and things.
What is it about comedy? And I've noticed just in you bringing up Def Jam and you wanting to give more opportunities for black comedians. What is it about?
Not necessarily black comedians, man.
Oh, you were just saying they weren't getting into the clubs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, back then. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
that was back then.
In the Def Jam. That's why I asked about that time in like comedy, is because there were not that many opportunities and you wanted to blaze that new trail.
There's no doubt about that.
So even now, in our current times, it almost seems like comedy clubs and churches are two things that are still segregated more than most kind of maybe venues. And I don't know if you have any insight into maybe why you think that is.
I don't even understand why. I don't understand why, and it doesn't affect me because I've never been one that, like, I've always been like a people person. I just always been one that was all about civil rights, and civil rights didn't have no color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's a problem for them to fix. I'm good.
I've just noticed in doing comedy, because I'll do both. I'll do all rooms, like whenever, wherever, however,
and do it well. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
So again, we don't have those answers.
Gotcha.
We won't have those answers, but that just go to show you that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just churches and comedy clubs. You know what I mean? It's in restaurants. At least in Atlanta, it seemed like it. That's what I heard about the boycotts and shit. So,
Well, before I get you out of here, there's one thing I always ask my guests on here, and it's usually if
your
I'm
guest on Hot breath.
Yeah. Oh, you're good at just repeating. That's marketing, I guess. You just burn it to the brain.
You have to burn it in the brain because I'm going to tell you this right now. On Wednesday, January 3rd, right? We have this show coming to True TV called Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks.
What?
Hosted by Cypher Sounds, and it's really gonna flip comedy on its head.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
It's really hot. I mean, yeah, it's really, really hot. So,
man.
Yeah, you're right. So that's what's happening.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And we're here first on Hot Breath.
Yeah, on Hot Breath. Yeah.
So what I love to ask comedians is a story of getting booed on stage and just an epic failure they've had, because I talk about the success, but you're not anywhere without the teacher of failure. So this can be your most epic failure or one you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a comedian, so.
But even just in
I mean,
life,
no, I'm not a comedian and epic failures and stuff. No, I used to watch comedians really become tossed salads. You know, I mean, I have really seen tomatoes fly, lettuce, cabbage, onions, potatoes, bottles. I saw a guy get a garbage can thrown at him one time.
What?
I mean, this is all, you know, it's crazy, but you just have to be prepared for, you know, the environment that you're on. You know, it's like every stage isn't always the right stage, you know? So, again, I mean, I've had comedians who are really well known now really struggle, but not give up. One comedian in particular, I had him come on. I used to do this jazz club, and I used to throw a comedian on every now and then. And this guy, he was really not doing well. So, you know, instead of him like really like getting the message to get off stage, you start hearing the pianist tinkling the ivories underneath. Like, come on, man. You know how like an award show when they start your speech start going too long?
Wrap
it up. Oh man, it was hilarious. And now this guy's a big star. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. So things happen.
Oh. Can you divulge who that is?
No, I can't.
No.
But one thing I can tell you though is that on January 3rd, right? Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks for sure.
Well, we'll be sure to tune into that.
On what channel?
True TV.
That's right, True TV. After what show?
After Impractical Jokers,
absolutely,
I believe.
Yeah.
Man, they don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And wait until, I mean, this first season, I know it's going to be really cool. But I'm looking forward to the next season, which I'm sure there'll be one because the show's that dope. I never forget when Def Comedy Jam, the first season, I call it Bernie Mac's Stir It Like Coffee season because people always forget. Like, you automatically think about, I ain't scared of you, mother, you know?
Right.
But that came the second season, as did Chris Tucker and some others. The first season was Stir It Like Coffee. Yeah, stir it like, yeah. He was killing it, man. God bless.
And that Def Jam was based off the Peppermint Lounge kind of.
But I mean,
right?
it was like the vibe was between there, Uptown Comedy Club, and in Harlem had that vibe. Comedy Act Theater, you know, there was only a few rooms that was popping back then. Comedy Connection in Greenbelt, Maryland. Chris Thomas used to have a spot over there on Sunday nights that was popping. You know, then All Jokes Aside came a little later. Then you had Miami Nights down in Miami, Studio 183. So it's been like a snowball effect with stand-up comedy. But now it's crazy because I remember when we came up with the Comedy Jam name, Def Comedy Jam, it was just something that happened. You know, and now you have like Uncle Leroy's Comedy Jam. You know, you got the Joe's Car Wash Comedy Jam. It's like Comedy Jam became something that just happened because we had a label called Def Jam.
Do you think we're going through another comedy boom?
Yeah, we're
right
going
now?
through a comedy boom, and I think part of the comedy boom is really, you know, Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks.
Gosh, I mean, saw it in your eyes that time.
Nah, I mean,
saw it coming.
It is. I mean, I can't help. I mean, it's like it's that hot of a show.
Yeah.
Man, it comes on True TV on January 3rd.
Well, hopefully
11
I'll be
o'clock.
on season 2. We'll see what happens there.
Hey, listen, I can't promise it to you, but I can maybe give you a pinky swear. I don't know. I don't even know where that came from. A pinky swear. You know. Nah, but you definitely I've been talking about you. But again, we'll go into the lab and see what we come up with. And at the end of the day, you know, the network makes the final decision. You know?
Right.
Those are the BOSS. You know, BOSS.
Gotcha.
I'm the MOBB.
Well, you just talking about me as an extreme privilege and honor. So, before we get out of here, is there anything else you want the world to know?
I want the world to know, and he thinks I'm going to talk about laugh mobs, laugh tracks on True TV, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. That is coming on January 3rd at 11 p.m. I'm not really going to talk about how it's the hottest show. And, you know, I just want to, again, thank everybody who have hung in there with me over all my years in this business. And if anybody wants to holler at me, it's Bob.Sumner on Instagram and Bob Sumner 24. I have another Instagram. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but then I have like a Bob Sumner comedy spot on Facebook, and then I have my regular page, but that's for, you know, just my folks. But the comedians could go on the other page, and I have a Bob Sumner entertainment group page. There's a Laugh Mob page. There's just follow me, man. Follow what I'm doing, and there's a whole lot. I have a Saturday night comedy show that we do monthly in Jersey, South Jersey. Jazz and Jokes is popping now. The Apollo Comedy Club. We have the Comedy Wings competition that's going on right now. People can submit to that, and you know, just keep loving, living, laughing, because love is, and you know, appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, Uncle Bob. Thank you for being on Hot Breath.
Yeah, I was just on
Hot breath. Awesome. Hot breath.